year is 1998, and I, Smokey, was just starting kindergarten, just a little too young to have gotten into Spyro the Dragon when it was coming out. Simpler times when McDonald's play places were fun. Parks were somewhere you could go and have a fantasy adventure in a castle being attacked by dragons. Alright, maybe that was only me, but you looked forward to getting home from school, hanging out with your grandfather or something until your parents got home from work. Then you'd play your games that, unbeknownst to you at the time, you'd be nostalgic for the rest of your life. This was the Crash series for me because my dad was into those games. We'd play an absolute large, probably unhealthy amount of Crash Bandicoot Warped and Crash Team Racing, but Crash Warped had a little secret demo in it that I used to always play, that being Spyro the Dragon. And actually, the Spyro game has a demo for Warped in it, and a game booklet even tells you about it here. I was always interested in this foreign game of the demo world. It seemed like a good time, just chopping on gems, having a little dragonfly chase you around with helpful big dragons. But I didn't hit the workforce yet, so my library of games was limited. So here I am playing Spyro the Dragon for the first time in 2025, 27 years later. For this one, I was definitely trying to place myself in the 90s and remember what it was like back then while reviewing. Turns out when you do that, honestly, even without doing that, it still holds up. You just realize how much of a gem this game was for its time. It's a 3D platformer developed by Insomniac Games for the PlayStation 1. It's one of the games that brought a lot of popularity to the 3D platformer genre. Not alone, there's other games like Super Mario 64 and the Crash Bandicoot games. You play as the somewhat sarcastic and cocky dragon named Spyro, Although he's also confident and the hero of the story, he is the only dragon that wasn't crystallized by nasty Gnorc, the villain with the temper of a gnome and the attitude of an orc, so the game manual tells me.
That does it!
Looks like I've got some things to do.
He is the one that must go through the 6 worlds of the game, saving all the crystallized dragons. Get ready to hear a thank you for releasing me quite a bit if you play this one. Save another dragon.
Thank you for releasing me.
Shut up. And you're going to be collecting all the gems that Nasty is trying to turn into his minions. 5 of these worlds are the homelands to different types of dragons, families, and the 6th world is Nasty's world, which was the dragon junkyard that Nasty was banished to when the dragon started seeing him as a little bit of a threat. That's kind of how the game is set up, moving through each hub world, which contains multiple levels and a boss. Pretty straightforward stuff. And you start in Spyro's home world, the Artisans. This family of dragons provides the world with art, culture, and beauty through songs, paintings, and sculptures. This area is kind of like a very cozy setting. Green scenery, rolling hills, and pretty linear levels. A good world to learn the ropes of Spyro's abilities and get the controls down. Speaking of which, I was immediately impressed with how good this game felt. The jumping, the charging, gliding, fire breathing, and it all felt pretty up to par. Honestly, it doesn't even feel like it needed a remaster to me. If it didn't, and I just started playing this, that wouldn't come to my mind really. Everything felt like it holds up to this day really well, just not including the camera, but that's kind of, I basically expect that in these old 3D games because they didn't figure that out yet. That's kind of been a universal thing, but I've played old games with worse cameras for sure, so that was nice. The UI is also pretty good. Big fan when the game feeds you information through the characters or environments instead of putting overlays on my screen. So Spark the Dragonfly, who happens to be Spyro's best friend, is yellow at full health or 3 hits, blue at 2 hits, and green at 1 hit. And then without him, you're on your last hit. You get some health back by flaming small critters in the world that release butterflies to feed your boy Sparks. I like when you pull up the menu, you can see how many gems you have in each level, how many dragons, total gems in the game you've found, total dragons freed, what percentage of game completion you're at, and finally total dragon eggs recovered. Throughout the levels of the homeworlds, you'll have to catch dragon egg thieves from time to time, taunting you with the eggs.
There he is. Let's go.
And if you don't see them, you can listen for them in the world, but they have really annoying Poindextery voices.
Fuck, what the fuck? Dude, this guy's a bitch.
Man, he's so fast.
What is this thing?
1 week later.
Jeez.
I did quickly, however, find the only levels that I wasn't really a fan of, admittedly because I suck at them, and those are being the treasure rounds. You have to fly around while doing tasks like smashing trains or airplanes. and flying through rings or lighting lighthouses. It's not that the levels were bad or anything, they kind of felt like a mini-game mode and messed with the flow of the game in my opinion. Kind of just didn't want to do them, but you know, we plugged along for that 120% completion. But anyway, we wrap up the Artisan's homeworld with the boss, Toasty, and we move on to the Peacekeeper's homeworld. Let's roll out. Hopefully the game doesn't freeze. The dragons of this world are large and powerful, and they're in charge with battling the enemies and keeping the peace. Shocker.
Is he mooning me? He's mooning me. That's crazy. Look at that ass.
You can get those vibes as soon as you enter this world. It's a desert-like landscape covered in cannons. It just gives the feeling of a military outpost. Another 3 levels here, treasure round, and the boss, Dr. Shemp. In this world, I actually started to be pretty impressed with the level designs. You have to actually puzzle out how to get to some spots, which was something I was not expecting. I kind of thought this game was going to be super easy, honestly, but maybe I'm just an idiot too, I don't know. There's actually some areas that you can't see until you're at a different part of the map and you look back and you have to figure out how to glide down there and things like that. It's kind of cool. We then head to the Magic Crafter's homeworld. These dragons, as the name suggests, wield magic and make artifacts used by all other families of dragons. The world is comprised of snowy mountaintops, icy cliffs, and caves, and it's here where a new level of complexity is introduced, that being the supercharge mechanic, which is performed by running over ramps, which allows you to reach even further away locations and move faster. Just another level of puzzle solving as well. I do need to mention this game does a great job at introducing the complexity of level designs and adding aspects as you go. It's almost like each homeworld is bumped up a little bit in level of difficulty, and it makes for a good pace and keeps things fresh. They do it in a good natural way. We end Magic Crafters with Blowhard, the boss, and we move on. Now we get to the Beefy Boy, the Beast Maker's homeworld. These dragons create new living species to bring into the world. They need natural clay and other raw materials to do their creating, so they dwell in this swampy, foresty area. I'd say this world had the level that smacked me across the face the hardest, and that's the treetops. You need to zoom all over the place using supercharges from one tree to the next to get all the collectibles. It makes me realize how the strategy guide business was booming back in the day.
Damn, dude, that's crazy.
I seriously don't think my little brain would have been able to figure some of these pathways out without looking up some guides online. It's really quite impressive with the level design of this one. Some of these chains you have to keep a sprint on, it's pretty wild. We finish off with Metalhead and head on to the next world. I should also mention that I'm not really talking about the bosses because they're pretty lackluster in terms of presence. This one's kind of cool. You have to destroy these pylon things in order to defeat them, but I don't know. They didn't really do anything for me. They're all super easy, except for being the last one, but we'll get to that. And they're kind of just like a nice little cap to the worlds, but not actually, they don't feel like real hard encounters. Dreamweavers is the final of the dragon worlds. These dragons are known as the Peacekeepers of the Night, and they make sure that the dreams of dragons don't turn into nightmares. This world kind of throws everything you have learned into the level designs. You have to supercharge with platforming that has to be deciphered, like in the level Haunted Towers. I might have been stuck here longer than Treetops, but at least I knew the program and the gist by this point. It was just a matter of me accomplishing it. When you hit this world, you could also really see that why Spyro had such a hold over the audience when it came out. The 3D motion with the intricate level design had to be drawing the attention of a lot of gaming eyes back in the day. Like I said, this game still feels like it holds up 27 years later to me personally. There's something to be said for that. Unfortunately, though, we have another mediocre boss in Jock here, and we move on to the final area of Nasty's world. The setting of this area is very industrial steel and flame type stuff. I just felt like I was at the docks. You know, it is a junkyard after all. At least the final boss here, obviously Nasty Gnorc, is pretty memorable. Puts together into the entire game's mechanics into one battle. You have to chase down the egg thief, and then there's a good amount of supercharging Nasty in a circle that took me way too long, admittedly. like the eggs were already here and things came out. I don't. It's been a while since I looked into that. It's a weird one. And then you do some platforming while gliding onto platforms that are timed to retract into the wall. This sucks, so don't stand around too long. And you'll finally run him down and put an end to his reign. Oh. We then get the regular ending, which has Spyro giving an interview talking about Nasty's takedown. And then after that, there's an additional treasure room level where you just fly around. And then when you complete that, you get the true 120% ending, which is just another interview, except this time you got those shades on. Actually sick. Big pimpin'.
How do you feel?
I feel fired up, Bob. And I'm happy for the Dragon World, of course. I certainly wouldn't want to spend the rest of my Dragon days butting heads with Nasty Gnorc and his weird minions.
What's a minion?
Never mind. You know what they say. For every good battle, you need a good adversary. And I felt that Nasty, in spite of his misguided nature,
That's not a mic.
was a worthy opponent. Uh-oh. Here we go again.
It also alludes to another Spyro game coming. Shocker, I didn't know that. Spoiler alert, we will be playing it here. Overall, I need to say I was expecting a good time with this, but I didn't expect to feel the polish that this game had. My only gripes are that I wish the bosses had some challenge, and I do think the flying levels almost felt like they should be a mini-game mode besides the story or something. It's for sure a game I can see myself sitting down with from time to time to do a quick run-through. It'll be a lot faster now that I know how to do all the platform puzzles and the pathways to take. So, it's a timeless classic that still feels like a great game to this day. If you haven't tried this one, I highly recommend it, or even pick up the remaster, which I've checked out the graphics on that and it looks pretty crazy. I think I might try it for myself and see if they changed anything else up. Hopefully just updated graphics and a good camera. We'll be good to go. Till next time, guys. Take care and peace.